What happens when a devoted father slowly becomes invisible at his own family table? He doesn't even realize he's been quietly erased until it's too late. What he does next will turn everything upside down in the most unexpected way. I never thought I'd become the kind of man who talks to his microwave. But last Tuesday, I stood in my kitchen, staring at the blinking 12 o'clock on the display, like it owed me an explanation for why everything in my life suddenly felt silent. Not peaceful silence. Not the kind you earn after mowing the lawn or fixing a leaky pipe. No. This was the unnerving, thick kind of silence that wraps around your throat when your own family stops seeing you. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, come on, maybe they're just busy. That's what I told myself too, until I realized that busy people still answer your texts. Busy people don't forget your birthday 2 years in a row. Busy people don't make you RSVP to your own granddaughter's school play through a Facebook post like some random guy who lives in a trailer park 3 states over. It all started the day I did something nice. That's the irony. You'd think good deeds bring people closer. Turns out, they just give them an excuse to back away quietly. I had spent 3 weeks hand-carving a wooden jewelry box for my oldest granddaughter, Lacey. I sanded every edge, stained it cherry red, lined it with velvet, and even engraved her initials on the lid. It was the kind of thing a man makes when he wants to leave behind something meaningful, something more than a monthly check and a couple of dry texts. So what do? I drive an hour in traffic, show up to their house, and ring the doorbell with the box under my arm, proud as hell. Lacey opened the door. She looked surprised. Not happy surprised. More like, oh God, we forgot to tell him we weren't doing gifts this year. Surprised. Oh, hi, Grandpa. Mom's inside, I think. You think. Great start. I stepped in, and that's when it hit me. That weird feeling. You know when you walk into a room where you're not supposed to be? Like crashing a party you weren't invited to, except the party is your own family's dinner. My son, Aaron, glanced up from his phone. Hey, Dad, you didn't call first? No hug. No smile. Just that same flat tone he uses when asking Alexa to order dog food. I thought I'd surprise you. Brought something for Lacey. I handed over the box. She held it like it might explode. Wow, thanks. We'll find a place for it. They found a place all right. Somewhere out of sight, out of mind. And that, folks, was sign number 1. The barely hidden awkwardness. When your presence feels like a pothole on their perfectly paved suburban schedule. I didn't stay long. Something in my gut told me I was as welcome as a cold sore on prom night. On the way out, I caught a glimpse of their hallway photo wall. Dozens of framed memories. Holidays, birthdays, graduations. Not one of them included me. Sign number 2. The erased history. They don't argue with you. They just edit you out. But hey, maybe I'm being sensitive, right? The next week, I invited them over. Nothing fancy. Just a homemade chili night. The kind we used to have before Aaron got promoted to corporate zombie level 3. I even bought that stupid almond milk my daughter-in-law likes, the one that tastes like regret. Guess what? They couldn't make it. Soccer practice. Flu shots. The cat had anxiety. Pick your excuse. Sign number 3. Perpetual excuses. You're no longer a priority. You're a calendar conflict. Now here's the part that really kicks you in the ribs. I found out from a neighbor, mind you, that Lacey had a piano recital that Saturday. Public event. Open invitation. Guess who wasn't invited? So I did what any self-respecting grandparent would do. I showed up anyway. Sat in the back. Watched my granddaughter perform beautifully. Then leave the stage, run into the arms of everyone but me. Sign number 4. You become a stranger at their celebrations. Not excluded by rule, just forgotten by default. After the recital, I tried to catch Aaron in the parking lot. "Hey, I didn't know about this. Lacey was great." He gave me that polite corporate smile, the one that never reaches the eyes. "Oh yeah, sorry. Must have slipped my mind?" Slipped your mind, right. Like I'm a dentist appointment, not your father. By this point, even my dog seemed to be avoiding eye contact. I started checking my phone more. Not to text anyone, but to make sure it still worked. You know, in case the family emergency group chat moved to another app without me. Sign number 5. Radio silence. They don't say anything cruel. They just stop saying anything at all. One night, I scrolled through old photos on my laptop. Birthdays, camping trips, Sunday barbecues. All of it felt like some lost TV show, one they canceled mid-season because nobody cared about the ending. That's when it hit me. I wasn't part of the family. I was a relic. A sentimental object kept in the attic until someone needed a moral story or a babysitter. And yet, I hadn't done anything wrong. Not really. I just aged, slowed down, said, "I miss you" one too many times. But let me tell you something. That was just the beginning. What happened next changed everything. You don't want to miss how it all unfolded. You'd think a man would know when he's been cut off. There should be some grand signal, like a certified letter that says, "Thanks for your time, but your services as father and grandfather are no longer needed." But no. Real exile is quiet. It's polite. And it always shows up with a casserole dish and a fake smile. The final straw, or so I thought, was a Sunday dinner that never happened. It was supposed to be my turn. Our little tradition, once upon a time, every third Sunday of the month, they'd come over to my place. I'd cook, they'd bring dessert, and we'd pretend like everything was normal. It was never normal, not lately, but I clung to those dinners like a drowning man clings to a floating branch. Waterlogged and half splintered, but something. That Sunday, I made pot roast. Not just any pot roast. I marinated that sucker for 12 hours, slow-cooked it with rosemary, carrots, potatoes, and that one brand of red wine my late wife swore by. I even broke out the good plates, the ones with the little blue flowers we got for our wedding, chipped and yellowed but still hanging in there. Just like me. I set the table. I poured the wine. And then I waited. And waited. And waited. An hour passed. No call. 2 hours. No text. I finally called Aaron. Straight to voicemail. So I called Lacey. Straight to voicemail. I tried the landline. Yes, I still have one. And after 4 rings, I heard the chirpy, pre-recorded voice of my daughter-in-law. "Hi, you've reached the Wilsons. We're out living our best life. Leave a message, and maybe we'll circle back." Circle back? Sign number 6. You get ghosted. Like a bad Tinder date. They didn't show, didn't call, didn't explain. I sat alone at the table, staring at 2 full-place settings, steam rising off the roast like it was mocking me. I poured myself a glass of wine, then another. I chewed the meat slowly, like it might change flavor and erase the sting in my gut. But the sting stayed, because somewhere deep down, I knew this wasn't an accident. This was intentional, coordinated, clean. The next day, I drove to their house. I didn't even change clothes. I just needed answers, closure, something. When I knocked, it was Lacey who answered again. She looked uncomfortable, like I'd shown up in the middle of some sacred family ritual. Or worse, like I was an Amazon delivery she didn't order. "Oh, Grandpa, we weren't expecting—" "Yeah, I figured that out when nobody came to dinner." She shifted, glancing behind her. I saw movement in the living room. Aaron walking away, not toward me. We forgot. Things got busy. Too busy to text your grandfather? She winced. I'm sorry. Sorry. That word again. Used like a napkin. Quick, disposable, and never enough. I didn't push it. I just stood there, absorbing the kind of silence that makes your chest feel too small. Tell your dad I stopped by. She nodded. Door closed. The message was clear. I wasn't welcome. That week, I tried something different. I posted an old photo on Facebook. Me holding Aaron as a baby. The caption read, "Some things shouldn't be forgotten." No likes, no comments, no reaction, except one, from a distant cousin in Ohio. "You okay, George?" she wrote. Sign number 7. You're more visible to strangers than to family. It was around that time I stopped reaching out. Not out of anger. Out of exhaustion. You can only knock on a closed door so many times before your knuckles bleed. But let me be clear. I didn't go quietly. I started writing. Letters, posts, even a blog. I didn't name names, but I told my story. The pain, the erasure, the slow, calculated way you become invisible. And guess what? People listened. Not my family. Of course not. But others. Neighbors, former co-workers, even strangers. They started sharing their own stories. Whole generations, quietly cut off. It hit me like a freight train. This wasn't just my story. This was an epidemic. So I leaned in. I made noise. And then something happened that I never saw coming. This is the climax. Everything you've waited for, it's right here. Stay tuned to see how I finally stood up and made them look me in the eyes. The blog post that changed everything wasn't even meant to go viral. It was raw, written at 2 a.m., my glasses crooked on my nose and my keyboard stained with instant coffee. I titled it, How It Feels to Be Slowly Deleted by the People You Raised. I clicked publish and went to bed. When I woke up, it had over 3,000 shares. By noon, it was on the local news page. By dinner, strangers from across the country were emailing me, veterans, grandmothers, retired teachers, all saying the same thing. Me too. That night, for the first time in months, I didn't feel alone. And then came the email I didn't expect. It was from Aaron. Subject line, "We need to talk." I opened it expecting an apology, or at least a question. But it was 2 lines. Can you take the post down? It's making things uncomfortable for us. Uncomfortable. That was the word he chose. Not hurtful. Not untrue. Just inconvenient. I didn't reply. Instead, I wrote another post. When speaking the truth makes people uncomfortable. That's when you know it's working. That one hit 10,000 shares. By Friday, I got a call from a radio station in Oregon. They wanted to interview me about silent elder rejection. Apparently, that's a thing now. I talked. Honestly. Sharply. I didn't name Aaron or Lacey, but I described what it felt like when your own child looks through you like you're fog on a mirror. And that's when Aaron showed up. It was a Saturday. I was out back in the garden, a hobby I'd picked up to quiet the noise in my head. I was elbow-deep in tomatoes when I heard the gate creak. He looked tired, or maybe guilty, or maybe just annoyed he had to drive across town to deal with his PR problem. "Hey, Dad. Didn't expect to see you here. Or ever again?" He stood there, hands in pockets. I didn't know it felt that bad. The blog made it sound like we cut you off on purpose." I wiped my hands on my pants and looked at him. "You didn't cut me off all at once. You did it like someone boiling a frog. Slow, quiet, so I wouldn't notice until it was too late." He looked at his shoes. Classic move, when the truth stings. We never meant to hurt you. No? What did you mean to do then? Forget me gently? He didn't answer. I made you pot roast. I carved boxes. I showed up at school plays. And every time, you gave me less. Less attention, less time, less respect. I have kids, a job. I had all those things too. And I still made space for you. Because love isn't about convenience. That shut him up. He didn't cry. I didn't hug him. This wasn't a hallmark moment. But for the first time in years, he listened. Really listened. I read everything you wrote, he finally said. I didn't know you were hurting this much. Well, now you do. We stood there, surrounded by tomatoes and silence. Then he said it. Do you want to come to dinner this Sunday? I blinked. A flicker of something lit up in my chest, but I kept my tone even. Is that an invitation? Or damage control? He smiled faintly. Both. I nodded. Fair enough. I'll bring dessert. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't redemption. But it was a start. The finale is coming. The part where I finally get to decide what family means to me and what I'll never tolerate again. Stay for the final truth. Dinner came, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a guest in my own bloodline. The table was set. Not perfect. Paper napkins, store-bought lasagna, and a salad that looked like it missed the memo. But it wasn't about the food. It was about the chairs being full. About the fact that one of those chairs had my name on it again. Aaron actually sat next to me. Not across. Not at the other end like we were on opposite sides of a courtroom. Next to me. Close enough to pass the bread without the emotional whiplash. We talked. Stumbled through small talk. Football. The weather. My new celebrity status in the retirement community. It wasn't deep, but it was real. And that's more than I'd had in years. Lacey apologized. Not in words, in actions. She brought out the jewelry box, the one I carved, and said she kept her letters in it now. It smells like your garage, she added with a smile. That was all I needed. I didn't expect forgiveness. Not from them, and not even from myself. I just needed acknowledgement. The tiniest sign that I wasn't crazy, that my pain had roots, that I didn't imagine the quiet exile I'd lived through. They offered me that. Barely. But they did. And I realized something. This isn't just about being seen by others. It's about refusing to be invisible to yourself. So I made a new list. Not the 7 signs you've been cut off kind. This one's different. 7 promises I made to myself. I will never apologize for needing love. I will not beg for space at a table I helped build. I will speak up, even if my voice shakes. I will stop shrinking to make others comfortable. I will remember that absence is a decision, not an accident. I will show up for myself first. I will be the kind of family I needed, to others, and to me. That's the real ending. Not some picture-perfect dinner, not a bow-wrapped reunion, but a man who finally stood up and said, I deserve better. Because I do. And if you're reading this, maybe you do too. Family isn't just about blood. It's about showing up, listening, staying, and sometimes starting over. This time, on your own terms. The end.